Hi guys, this is Stephanie. It's Monday, October 10th. Yeah, so today was my first day back to work after having a nice long weekend. I had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I had a few things lined up this weekend to do with people, and these were people that I had been chatting with on a dating site. I have been chatting with a certain someone for about a week and a half, but as we progressed into getting to know one another, I decided that I didn't have the attraction for her like I thought I did. So a day before we were supposed to meet, I notified her that I just lost interest. It wasn't her fault, it was just me. So what did she do? So she didn't take it well because she found upon herself to remove me from her Facebook, which I'm fine with. I gotta be honest from the get-go. I can't pretend to feel for someone that I don't have any attraction to. And then I also was talking to a second girl, and I met her for breakfast, and I wasn't in the mood to have anything to eat, so I had a glass of juice, and she ordered breakfast, and then she showed me where she lived, and I showed her where I lived. We watched a movie, and we had popcorn. And then by my close observation of how she was, I also decided that she wasn't the right fit for me either. So she went on her merry way, and I went on my merry way, and here I am. So I do have more news to talk to you about. I've decided to leave my part-time job. When I went into work Friday, I just wasn't feeling like that's the part-time job that I want to do when I leave my full-time. I never discussed this, but I have almost 20 years of manufacturing experience with working in the industry for manufacturing. And this place where I worked was a factory-like type setting. It's a big company. They're based and headquartered here in Sarasota. They're based in the US and many other foreign countries. And like I said before, they design and build valves that go inside the hydraulic systems of machinery or landing gear. Anything that involves oil pressure or hydraulic systems, these mechanisms are found inside them. So anyways, I'm going to continue on the reason why I quit my part-time job when we return. But first, I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. If you guys find something that resonates with you or similar to what you're dealing with in life, then hit that subscribe key. And don't forget to hit that top bell so you get all my notifications of uploads. We'll see you when you come back. Yeah, so last Friday when I went to work, I wasn't feeling a connection with the people that I work with, and I wasn't feeling a connection with the job that I was performing. It was unlike any other manufacturing job I had in my life. I've had several manufacturing jobs in my life. I've worked for a company once that made plastic grocery bags for supermarkets. I worked for a company that made plastic components for filter systems for sewers in large cities. And I worked for a company that was involved in high performance metal, steel, and alloys. And that was a huge company. I stayed with that company for 14 years. The only job that I found similar to what I was just doing that I also quit was working with my dad and my mother at a textile company. Okay, when you work in a manufacturing company performing your duties, whether you're assembling or creating something or making something according to their specifications or diagrams, that means you're at a certain location where you're working with either machinery or you're assembling something from parts of this device that you're making in a setting, in a manufacturing setting. Well, I'm the kind of person that I can't stay in the same location. If I have no lateral movement or the freedom to just take off and go somewhere else while performing my job, then I'm going to get bored of the job I'm doing very quickly. If I'm doing repetitious stuff, I'm going to get bored of that. I'm going to get bored of it, especially if my physical self is within certain confinements or boundaries. The other thing that I didn't like was the whole setting of manufacturing companies. It brought back a distaste or dislike for jobs that I've done in the past when I was younger. In this job, I pull up in the parking lot, I'd walk in the building with my key fob, let myself in, and I'd go to a computer and I would log in. And I would go to my stations or wherever I'm asked to go work. But regardless, when I get there, I'd be working with people who got more experience in the job I'm doing, and I would learn from them. I would assemble these valves according to the planogram or the cutaway blueprint that we had. And that's what I did for 6 straight hours. Now, what I noticed as time was going on was that most people that worked there were either sitting down, or standing up. And you're working in front of a big table with components and parts bin in front of you, and you have your job order that you just printed from a computer, and it shows you all the components you need to assemble this valve. Well, if I'm standing up on a table that's as high as my waist, that means that my neck is going to be bent forward with my head and face looking down at the parts for 6 straight hours. What I found out was happening after a week was that my back neck muscles was stiffening. I felt like I had a knot at the base of my lower neck. And by my second week, after only 3 hours of working, either seated or standing, my body was tensing up. Why? Because I'm doing repetitious and repetitive motion with my hands. assembling and just staring down at these little pieces of metal, pins and cams and components and screws. I just couldn't do it. Friday and Wednesday of last week were my last, where I was at my wit's end. Okay, I was at my wit's end, and when that happened, I was seriously contemplating: do I want to come back here? Do I want to come back here in this gloomy building with all these people at their station? As soon as I walk in the door, I see the exact same faces in the same places where I left them in my previous schedule. They were doing the same thing. I was walking by them. None of them would say hello to me. Only the people that I had direct contact with would say hello. But out of 50 or so people that would walk by, none of them were very friendly. They would just stare. And I didn't feel like I was going to develop a camaraderie with them that's going to contribute to a happy, joyful place to work where you can do your job, and maybe you can sit at the same table during the break and introduce yourselves and one another. That wasn't happening here. When I walked in the building, I felt like I was looking at a black and white Holocaust film. That's what I felt like. The gloom and the doom. It just wasn't sinking in my head like that's what I want to do. They were paying me decent money, okay, which would have contributed greatly to my savings. But do I want to stay in a place where I wasn't happy? I was busting my haunch more at the Sarasota Yacht Club. My hands drenched in water for 5 hours. 5 hours. Coming home all dirty and smelling like food. I worked at the Sarasota Yacht Club at least 4 to 5 months. And I was surprised I was there that long. This place where I work is not dirty. I had my own little station where I work for the day, my own little setup. But it's the idea of just doing repetitive movement, repetitive work all the time I was scheduled. Okay? I think for the job I was doing, it was just way too much involved for a part-time job. Okay? It was great because I didn't have to deal with customers like I do my full-time job. I didn't have to deal with customers at the yacht club either, but it wasn't for me after 5 months. I didn't want to do anymore. You know? I was being overburdened with work. Here, I just wasn't happy. I don't mind working indoors, but it's the monotonous. It's the monotony and the repetitive movements I was doing all the time, and then experiencing tightness in my neck and like a knot at the bottom of my neck. I didn't like that at all. I would have to stop in the middle of my work and stretch my legs and stretch my arms and move my head around, because that feeling of always having my head bent downward and looking at what I'm doing on that low table, just I couldn't do anymore. I was starting to find out that I'm the type of person, I don't mind being alone most of the time. I can work by myself. But if I'm working a job that's repetitive, I need to have somebody there so I can talk to, so I can socialize with. Okay? Because on my job, I'm doing repetitive stuff. But I have customer interaction, I have associates interaction, and it's repetitive. I'm selling the same stuff. I'm explaining the same things, okay? But I'm also socializing with customers and my coworkers. I'm doing repetitive movement in the same area where I felt a sense of confinement, but I'm not socializing too much. Everybody's just glued to their tasks. And most people that I worked with were full-time, you know. So today, when I was at work, I finally sent Human Resources an email telling them that, you know, after 2 weeks, I don't think I'm going to be going back. I'm not going to be going back. And I was only there for 2 weeks. I wasn't there for a whole month or a month and a half. And I was just learning the job or learning the ropes. And I don't think they're going to be missing me after only being there 2 weeks. It's not like I was there for 5 years or a year or whatever. My second week, I just couldn't do it anymore. It's not something that I want to do. Okay? Yeah, so that's it. So I like to talk about one of the girls that I dated this weekend. We can be misled a lot by their personal profiles on a dating site. They may look interesting by the photographs. They may look attractive by the photographs because you really don't have nothing else to go by. So you go by appearance, you go by looks, you go by the clothing style, what they like to wear, and what they're saying in their profile, you know, their information. I thought that I would click with this one person, and then when we met for breakfast, and then I invited her over to watch a movie. Right off the bat, from the initial meeting, I knew it wasn't going to work out. Because the first word out of her mouth was, "Oh, you're transgender." Well, what the hell do you think I am? I'm a freaking human being. But she said that, and it made me feel uncomfortable because that was the first word out of her mouth. And then the second thing that she started talking about was just drama. Drama, 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 drama. It was like off and on throughout the whole deal. And that was just annoying to me. I get annoyed quickly if people are just wasting their time or using the time that we're supposed to get to know one another on their personal issues, their past relationships. So I kind of gave her hints. I didn't want to talk about the past, her past, or her ex's past, or what she's dealing with in life. Those are turn-off things. Those ain't things you tell somebody that you just meet them, you know? And so we finally had breakfast, and we came to she showed me where she lived. And because she invited me to her home, I invited her to my home, and we watched the movie. Well, you know, as soon as the movie started, we're into the movie, and she would stop and just talk about the past and talk about her relationships with her exes or some issues that she's had in the middle of a movie. And after the movie was over, I gave her a hug, and I didn't give her the impression like I was going to say, "No, you're not for me, I'm sorry." I gave her a hug. We talked about 5 seconds, and then she went. This morning, I sent her a text. I said, "I'm afraid we're not a good match. I wish you the best, and take it easy." That's it. And within 15 minutes, she contacted me back, and I can tell she was not comfortable with my decision. So I had to do what I had to do. I had to block her. So I blocked her. If something's not going to work out, it's never going to work out. There's no reason why you continue with someone that you don't think you're a good match with. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to searching for a part-time job, but it has to be something that is not repetitive. I don't want to be locked up in or working in a building where it's gloomy and gloomy. If I can stay busy on the job, and time will go by quickly, and it won't be a bad part-time job. This morning when I went to work, I spoke with a coworker who works out of his house. And he works remotely full-time, and he works with me at my full-time job full-time. He did give me some leads. I may or may not look into it. But we'll see what happens as I press forward and start doing some searches on this link that he sent me. Yeah. The other thing I'm doing is I'm staying in close contact with my parents. My brother sent me my father's video yesterday, another video, and he has lost a lot of weight. I think the dialysis situation is taking a toll on him. And if things worsen, or even if they don't worsen, I may not wait for them to worsen. I may consider go up to Massachusetts, but I just don't know. I just don't know. We're going to be going into November soon, and my vacation is in 2 weeks. And I think it's best if I stay in contact with my family that way. I love my parents, but as you know, they have not always been there for me. They're not the type of people to visit other family members that may be going through a tough time financially or through a tough time physically or health-wise. I'm a strong believer that if we're family and we love one another, then you do what you need to do to support. I've always supported my family by visiting them when I can, but they've never come to Florida to visit me, and that has always left an ugly taste in my mouth. You know I sound cruel to you guys. I might sound cruel. I don't know how long my father has left. I'm trying to make peace with my decision right now, whichever way I go. So that's where I am emotionally with my decisions regarding my part-time jobs. I just quit. It wasn't for me after working there 2 weeks. And also, together while working 2 jobs like this, I try to have a social life by meeting people. So I think if I'm going to continue to work a part-time job or trying to search for one, I also got to make sure that I have some level of social life where I don't just be locked up in the house, go to my full-time, and spend my time alone. I do want to meet someone, and that's something I'm actively doing. As long as I'm honest with them about my plans on relocating and my house up for sale and everything, so they don't think I'm just using them temporarily or anything like that. I don't want to mislead them. I know I'm rambling on, but I'm just touching base here on my life, what's happening. And that's it. I keep forging ahead with my current plans. I haven't received any news from my realtor on whether or not there has been any there hasn't been anybody showing interest on my home. The last time I checked how many views that my home has gone was almost 100 views within maybe a month. I think right now it could probably it's probably doubling up right now, probably close to 200 views. But I like to visit the website where my home is listed for sale and see how many people are actually showing interest. So that's what's happening right now, guys, in my little life and my little plans. So that's basically it. I hope you guys have a nice week, and I'll be chatting with you guys very, very shortly once more. Bye-bye.
Hobs